Great.
Doing great.
We had a lot of fun here before. I love our little pre-show stuff where nobody gets to see it. Well, I actually really enjoy that. It's almost like, yeah, I'm glad we don't put that live, right? That would be horrible. So, hey
It's like
everyone,
get it
I
out
am
of your
Jim Gass.
system. Get it out of your system.
What's that?
It's like get it out of your system.
Yeah, no doubt. So,
Usually me.
definitely Mr. 12-year-old right there.
Pretty
So,
much.
well, hey, I'm Jim Gast, and welcome to No Law Firm Left Behind. I'm joined today by Vinny and Dave. Guys, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. So every week we come at 10:30 Eastern on Tuesday to talk about something that help your law firm. Remember, our three pillars are to help your law firm be competitive, to keep your staff and attorneys productive and efficient, and also to help you get clients calling. So today is Vinny's show, or I should go like that. I think it looks more like that. Is that right, guys? It's reversed.
Looks
So
better
it's
to
like
me.
it's Vinny's show today. So Vinny, what are we going to talk about today?
Hey, we're going to talk about Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection. Actually, a little bit more than just the tool itself. We're going to talk about why you need something like the Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection tool set. What kinds of things are happening today, trends recently that we've seen in the market, things like that. Yep.
So Vinny, my first reaction, and I'm sure everybody that's sitting out there is probably having a similar reaction. What? I thought that Microsoft 365 was secure. It's in the cloud.
So, the great thing about Microsoft 365 is the high availability and the redundancy that's built into it, right? That is the selling point for Microsoft 365. Plus, the management of it, the total cost of ownership of it, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft does all the updates, and they the cost for you to do something like that is, I think I lost you guys.
We're here.
No, I hear you.
Oh, okay.
We got you.
Your cameras look a little bit funky, so
We're good. I think remember the live stream. Just what you see on the screen isn't what they get. So you're fine.
All right.
Keep going.
It's probably just me then.
Yeah.
All right. So, but as far as security, one of the things is they offer basic security, and you get what you get with the regular licenses.
It's not horrible, right, Vinny?
It's not. Well, it's a spam filter. It does do a little bit of security filtering.
The two-factor authentication for more security.
Two-factor. But really, as you get into more advanced filtering, more advanced protection, you need other things in place because we want to layer the technologies that we put in place for security. The more layers we add, the smaller your attack surface is.
Dave, what do you got to say?
Well, yeah. So the way I would like to describe the difference between just your basic Microsoft 365, Office 365, and what we're talking about today is, every business out there has some kind of firewall. Okay. And even a firewall that I go buy off the shelf from a big box store has security features built into it. Okay. It provides a level of protection, but we generally end up recommending, more advanced protection devices to people that do all the stuff that the one off the shelf does and more. And that's kind of like how I would describe Office 365. Yes, it absolutely provides a core level of protection. Okay. You're not being reckless by using Office 365, but it's when you want to take that next step. And like Vinny said, when you want to add that extra layer on top of it, this is where we start to really take and go from our basic levels of protection and saying, all right, we're really going to start taking this seriously and really start being security focused. And that, that layering that Vinny just started talking about is really, this is just a layer on top of it all.
Guy, I'm going to disagree with both you guys. I'm going to absolutely floor you guys. Okay. I think of it as this. It's Microsoft 365 is that car you buy off the lot. Okay. They say, it's got new tires, whether it's a new car or used car, right? It's got new tires. You can drive it. You can, when it's in decent weather, you're fine. When you get a little bit of rain, you're fine. When you get a little bit of snow, you're fine. But the fact of the matter is, right now, it's not snowing. Right now, it's not raining. It's a freaking blizzard and or a hurricane right now from a security perspective. So you absolutely need something more than just those regular tires in that car. When you wake up and you realize that there's a freaking hurricane on the shore blowing in and the winds are at 75 miles an hour, when you wake up, you're going to realize you need better tires. You need something like, some better security. You need something like advanced threat protection from Microsoft. And it's part of it. Vinny, let's talk about what it's included in. Is it included in a Microsoft Business Premium?
It is included in Microsoft Business Premium. Yes.
Good. So for $12.50 a month for your users, you're getting everything in Microsoft 365. But for the $20 a month, you get additional stuff. You get, additional features like the advanced threat protection, and you get Windows licensing and stuff like that for $20 a month. Mm-hmm. So it's a standard, in a sense, a standard upgrade for your business to protect you from that frickin' thunderstorm of hackers, right? Not thunderstorm, frickin' monsoon of hackers that are actually trying to get in every single day and hack in your account.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what those attacks are.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Because it's important that folks know how they're being attacked today.
Yeah.
And it's not very different from what it was before, right? The bad guys are sending attachments, for example, mm-hmm. right? And these attachments can have malicious content. They can have links in them that are sending you to a malicious site. Mm-hmm. Right. So how do you protect yourself against those types
spam protection? Spam protection is not stopping that kind of, it's not meant to stop that kind of stuff.
Correct.
It's meant spam protection. And I'm emphatic about this because this is something that you can just layer for such a small amount of money. Right. Mm-hmm. It's like when I get hit with an attack, I'm just going to freaking bring down my whole business, my whole law firm, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a small investment. This isn't even, the expensive firewall, This is really small in the grand scheme for most businesses. So, Vinny, you want to talk about show what you got on your screen and show?
Not yet. So I want to talk about a couple more areas. So, another area of attack is a link. That is the most common right now, I believe, where folks are getting links that look legit, or sometimes they even don't look legit, and you click on them by mistake, right? So how do you protect yourself against that type of attack? The thing is spoofing. So what is spoofing? I get an email that looks like it comes from Jim, and it's giving me specific instructions.
Send money to an account or something like that.
Yeah, but it's basically impersonating Jim Gast, and it's and that's another way of getting folks to do something because I know Jim, so yeah, it must be legitimate, right? But it's a very common tactic. It's not new. It's been around for a while, right? But how do you protect yourself against that kind of thing? The other thing that we need to look out for is phishing. Right. So they use a combination of all of these. So they may use an attachment or they may use a link. They're going to use spoofing and impersonation, and they're going to have specific information potentially about your organization. Right. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say,
don't they?
Yeah. And so and phishing is targeted. Right. Mm-hmm. And so how do you protect yourself from these types of attacks? The ATP tool is not total protection, right? We're minimizing the opportunities for those that are out there that are trying to attack. And so I wish we could say, this one tool is 100% protection. But
Benny, can I ask you a question about what you just said? We're minimizing explain that a little bit more. How are we minimizing it?
So by adding an extra layer of security, we're making it more difficult for the hackers to actually, one, penetrate our network, right? Mm-hmm. Or get to our users by automatically with the tool. We'll get into that, how it does that, right? But really is we want to minimize as much as possible the opportunity for folks to get in. We're making it harder for the hackers.
And why are they going to quit, Dave? What makes it so that these hackers are going to quit? Because
it's like I always like to talk about any kind of cybersecurity similar to a physical security, like on your home, all right, or on your car. If somebody wants to break into your home, they will get in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how much money you spend on alarm systems and locks and whatnot. If they are determined, they will get in.
And
The
those
reality,
those kinds of guys, they don't care about the little stickers that you put on your windows. They don't care if they see cameras, right? They're
they
just
know
going to
their
go
stuff.
for it. Yeah.
They're like Joe
And,
Pesci in Home Alone, man.
and
They
and I
are doing reconnaissance. They're doing the research.
and I will tell you, I have worked with firms and businesses who have huge security budgets, and a determined person is still able to get in.
Yeah. Yeah.
The average person, you got to play statistics, okay? And the average threat actor is just like your smash and grab burglar. They want to get in, get whatever they can as quick as they can, and get out, because they really don't want to have to work hard. They don't want to have the risk of, getting caught.
It's
Well,
They're
opportunistic.
looking for the easiest target. They're looking for that low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So by adding these layers, you're not making, it doesn't matter how many layers you add, you're not making yourself impenetrable.
No, and it's a
somebody
monetary
they'll
game too,
get there.
right,
You're
guys?
just trying to get those opportunistic threat actors to say, there's too much here. I'm going to go find someone easier that doesn't have all this stuff in place.
And guys, they play it like a business. They're in business to do this. So, just like any other business, they're trying to make it better, faster, cheaper for them to steal, right?
If they can get almost as much information and value from something with half the work, then that's what they're going to prioritize.
And Vinny, Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection is not making it so that it's better, faster, cheaper for them, right? It's making it harder.
It's making it more difficult, and hopefully, hope they move on. Right?
Yeah.
And what it's doing is by taking and Vinny, you're going to show a little bit of this, or you're going to cover this by taking away these common and cheap threat vectors. It costs nothing to send a phishing email to 1 million people.
Yep. Do you guys remember
one to click?
Do you guys remember
that being that one?
Do you guys remember all the doors in the movie Monster Inc?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all the doors in Monster Inc. in the door repository or door warehouse. That one of those doors is your business. Okay, and all those doors are easy to open. You don't want your door to be as easy to open as the other doors. That's the game.
I love that movie, by the way.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Anyone that doesn't love that movie is just wrong.
Mike Kowalski. Yeah. All right, Vinny,
all right. So let's get a little bit into the how does Microsoft ATP, we're going to call it ATP, which is Advanced Threat Protection. How does Microsoft ATP help your business, and why should you do it? Let's get a little bit into that.
I don't want to confuse matters, but they renamed it recently. I think it's called Windows Defender, Microsoft Defender ATP.
It is Defender ATP, yes.
Now it is, but all right. Anyway, Vinny, you want to show your screen? If I show now, you're gonna echo the background. You ready to flip over?
I am.
All right, go for it. And here we are.
All right. So one of the areas that we talked about that hackers use very commonly is to try and get you to open an attachment. And that attachment may have some malicious code. It may have a link in there that takes you to a site that you don't want to get to, right? But the goal is, they're trying to get some information from you by sending you to the attachment, and they usually will make the attachment enticing to open. You all know the FedEx one, right? You've missed your shipment and opened this file to. Everybody's gotten that one, right? And
this invoice is late, or
yep, correct. Pay your bills, and they usually make some kind of threat, right? And even though we've gotten a little bit accustomed to seeing these and identifying them easier, they're getting better and better, right? They're getting better at what they do. Their language is getting better, and they're trying to make it even harder to detect.
How does this stuff, Vinny? How does this stuff ever get past our spam filter?
Because its spam filter is not a security tool. You need another layer.
Because they make it less spammy, right?
Correct.
And make it look legitimate.
Yep. Spam filter is looking for things that are potentially spam. Security tool is like ATP is looking for threats, right? So what does ATP do for safe attachments? Basically, it is checking every email attachment that comes into your system, every single one, and it's checking to make sure that it's not malicious. And there's some different ways that it does that. There are some known ones out there. It's looking for behavior type things as well, and it's looking for potential. So it has an algorithm that it looks for, and a lot of it's potential, right? Sometimes the new stuff, right? Sometimes the new stuff's not detected right away, but then it gets added to the database. So
isn't it actually what's the word? I think it exploded. Isn't that what you call it? Exploded before it gets to you and tested in ATP before it comes to you.
Yeah. So that's one of the things it does. So every time someone checks an email with an attachment, safe attachment, and every time. So it might not have triggered an alarm to begin with, but the second time, it may trigger that alarm, right? So safe attachment automatically takes that file and it opens it within a virtual environment that you don't see. It's all in the background. You don't even know it happens, right? That way, if something's wrong, it does not affect your production environment, right? And that all happens in the background within seconds without you knowing. All right?
Cool.
Milliseconds, actually, in most cases.
Yeah, right? You won't even notice.
Yep. And so if the file's safe, it's going to open just like you normally open your attachments. But if it's not, right, the file can be set to be removed automatically. There are different rules that we can we're going to look at the second part of this. We're going to look quickly at some of the policies that you can set. But for the most part, as an administrator, if it was me, if it's found to be malicious, I want it removed, or at a minimum, I want it quarantined so that I can take action later.
Yep.
All right.
So safe attachments is one part of ATP.
Correct. Yep. Another part of ATP is called safe links. Now, safe links is great. It's a great tool. So every single time somebody clicks on the link that's in an email, it doesn't matter if they clicked on it today and 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later, every single time that you click on that link, it's going to verify that URL. So it's going to determine whether it's a malicious site. Is it safe? Did we block it? Right? Because we can block it through policy. And if it is malicious or if it is blocked, instead of going to the site, it's going to go to a warning page. And it's going to educate your user that this is a potentially harmful link. And this changes all the time, and we want it to check every single time. Now, there's one of the things people don't like about it,
right? Milliseconds.
One of the things people don't like about it is that there is sometimes a slight delay. When you click on a link, you got to wait for it to do its scan, and then then it opens up, right? But you want that protection every single time. Sometimes a site may be good today, it gets compromised the next day. We want to know about that. We want to protect against that.
But that delay, I mean, it's so negligible.
It is. It is very. It is
for the
worth it. It's more than worth it.
I locked the deadbolt on my front door of my house, and I have to unlock it, and that delays me just a little tiny bit of getting in my house. But it's security.
Yep, it's a great analogy right there.
Does it rewrite the URL, or does it just check it after you've clicked it?
So in the particular case of Microsoft, it just checks it. It checks the site.
Yeah. Different tools do different things.
Yep. So there's another tool we're going to talk about on our next IT session that does do the rewriting. All right.
Now, on this one, what I also know, and I don't know if you're going to mention it, where else are these safe links? I know for a fact that it's not just in the body of the email that a safe link is you're protected from.
Office documents, and we'll talk a little bit more about the other tools that are out there.
So if somebody emails you, I know this, and I'll just say it. If somebody emails you a PDF that's got a web link in it, if somebody emails you a spreadsheet that's got a PDF in it, or a Word document's got a link in it, and you got that attachment with that link inside of it, safe links applies to that attachment too.
Yes. So
and then also, go ahead.
So anything, So that's why in any document that you open that's within your email, or even in your, we're gonna get to it later, but even in your online repositories like SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams,
yeah,
all of those, it's all protected by the ATP.
What's nice about this one, it is an all-inclusive, all platform inclusive security right there. So anything in Microsoft 365. Now, I don't know, but I assume it's this way. If you put a link in like a planner or a task or a to-do or something like that, I would imagine that's safe linked as well. Because it's an inclusive technology is what I understand.
Yep. I think anything Microsoft 365 is my thought on it. All right. Yep. So what else? So we talked about the spoofing that takes place today. Spoof intelligence is part of the ATP, or the Advanced Threat Protection from Microsoft. This is a little bit more rules based. We put filters in place. So sometimes we want to spoof. For example, I'm sending out a marketing newsletter. I'm not sending it from my mail server. I might be sending it from something like MailChimp. Right? They're going to be sending email as you, right? That is a legitimate spoof.
And there's
sometimes, I'm sorry.
There's technologies to kind of make that okay for us to do.
Correct. You can change SPF records. There's a lot of different things you can make it to make okay.
So if we're legit, yeah.
Sometimes you don't want to go down that route. Sometimes people, for some reason, do different things. And so we want to make sure what's a legitimate spoof, what's not a legitimate spoof, right? And so we have spoof filters in place to protect your users from opening an email or from getting an email that potentially is not from a legitimate person. And so we can block, we can look at, see who's spoofing our domain. We can block those senders, or we can allow them, depending on, hey, this is MailChimp. I know what this is. I'm going to let it through. This is not. And we're going to look at that dashboard in a little bit on how it protects you as well. But spoof intelligence is part of the Microsoft ATP, or the Defender ATP as well.
So that's spoofing the domain. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So I can't send somebody, well, it protects against me sending a fake email from a fake email server as your domain.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. The other thing we talked about is impersonations, phishing attacks. A lot of people think that is spam and that it should be blocked by the spam filter. But because phishing attacks are so targeted, and they've gotten so much better in targeting folks and in getting through, it's not getting blocked by spam. And so we need other tools in place to help detect against those types of attacks. So actually, the anti-phishing part of ATP is very nice. It's an AI, so it's learning constantly by examining emails that are coming in and so on and so forth. And it's checking every single email. And it's looking for, it has a certain set of indicators. It has a certain indication that says, okay, these 5 different things make it look like this is a phishing attack, right? And then the machine decides whether or not it's a malicious email. And so you can delete it, you can quarantine it, you can forward it to an IT security team for review. There's a lot of different options you can do from an anti-phishing to protect it, to stop it from getting to the person first. And because the machine's making the decision, right? In this particular case, I would say, I want to quarantine it. I want to forward it to an IT guy, right? Because somebody needs to make a determination. Is this legit or is this not legit? But we don't want to leave it up to the untrained eye, right? Mm-hmm. We have a lot of, a few weeks ago, we did a know before session on one of these shows, how important it is to educate your users, right? But they don't do this every day. Folks don't do this every day. The attack vectors are constantly changing, and we need to make sure that we have systems in place to help protect us as well, right? Ultimately, the end user is our last line of defense, right? But we need to do our best job, and this is a great part of ATP, the anti-phishing piece. Again, phishing is a targeted attack, right, against a person. They're going to use a combination of things like impersonation. They may use spoofing. They're going to use links, and they're going to use attachments, but it is targeted to a specific person. It usually has a lot of knowledge about a company because they do some social engineering first. Mm-hmm. And again, we want to make sure that we have systems in place to minimize that and to detect that. All right. And then the last piece is what Jim was talking about earlier, is how do we protect our other systems, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams. Everything has, all those have their own repositories for files, and ultimately they're all in SharePoint. But, how do we protect those systems as well? So someone puts a file in one of our document libraries, and it turns out to be something that's malicious. Well, you can have that file automatically locked. Those locked files can get reviewed by your IT team, by your security team. They can either remove it, they can release it, they can download it for further review. There's a lot of different things they can do, but the important thing is no one else can do anything with it until the IT team releases it. And this is automatic, happening all the time. So a file gets downloaded, it's not detected immediately, but because it's always being scanned, it's always being monitored. If it does turn out that it is malicious file, then it will automatically be locked.
So let's just say hypothetically on this for a second. I want to make sure I understand this one, Vinny, and I think I do. Obviously, this is for the benefit of people listening. Mm-hmm. So if I have ATP and it's protecting SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams, right? But I've got everything at the email level protected. How can something get into SharePoint? I mean, feasibly, how's it feasible to get it into SharePoint or Teams?
You download it from the web.
Okay.
You also, some sites connect Teams to outside organizations, and they put something on there, right?
Maybe someone has Dropbox connected to their computer, and they shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of different ways. Files come in from many different sources other than just email.
USB stick.
Yep. So we want to make sure that we protect it.
Okay. So. Gotcha. Can I go back to the spoofing for a second? You don't have to change it, but I want to make sure that on that spoofing, people understand, and I didn't hear you say it. Maybe I missed it. But it's so easy to make a 0 look like an O, or a capital I look like an L, or vice versa, right? In an email address. So this is also called impersonation protection, right? So spoofing / impersonation protection. And so how does ATP handle those fake things?
So that's where you get more into the domain search, and there's tools that do a fantastic job on that. But basically, from the impersonation perspective, it's more handled on the anti-phishing side than it is on the spoofing side, right? Yeah. And so again, the algorithms are looking. So one of the other things is other keyboard formats. You look at the Russian keyboard formats. Some of the letters look the same, but they're not. And so, you can definitely play around with the different things
to Microsoft make it knows this and has built this into ATP.
Yeah. So there are ways. There are. It's looking for those types of things as well.
I thought so.
Yeah. So. All right, so let's get a little bit into the dashboard for ATP. So as an administrator, and by the way, we're running short on time, but we did talk about that. We're going to get a little bit into the technical stuff now.
I'm going to take us off the screen so this is bigger.
All right.
Well, I guess it's not getting any bigger, guys. I thought I tried. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So. This is the security dashboard. This is where the administrator can go and see what is going on from an ATP perspective. What's coming into my system? What kind of threats are being blocked and such. And so on this particular case, this is just going to be a sample of what you'd be able to see. For example, phishing messages detected. 12 messages have been blocked in the last 7 days. Right, 3 zero-day malware emails have been blocked, right? And this is all through ATP. Regular spam filter would not do that for you, okay? Malware trends. In this particular case, you can see 439 suspicious domains that were blocked, right? In the last 7 days.
That's a huge one right there.
Yep.
I mean, this is a customer that has ATP. 439 blocks in how many days? 7 days, right? Without ATP, they're not blocked, and it's left up to the end user, right?
Yep. Impersonation. So this is where you were talking out there, impersonating the domains and the users, right? 4 impersonations in the last 7 days. All we need, all we need is to be in trouble is for one of these to get through.
That's
right?
it.
All we need is for one to get through, and we can be in serious trouble. And so, ATP does a pretty good job. It's inexpensive, right? It's in some cases, it's included in your licensing, right? Even if you don't have the premium licensing, if you have like an E-level licensing, it's very easy to add. I think it's $5 a user to add the ATP protection for an E-level license.
And nonprofit gets it like at half. Like, what is it? A
nonprofit gets it for $1 a user.
Yeah.
So, sorry if you're not nonprofit. Not my rules. It's Microsoft. All right. So, you can submit things to Microsoft. So if you have a security team and they're noticing things that are going on, I'm going to close my email here.
Just go do not disturb, and you'll be better off.
If you see something, you have an email or you have a URL or you want to submit something to Microsoft, your users can submit it as well, right? You'll see your user submissions here. We have the ability to submit things to Microsoft for review, and also eventually, if it is a malicious item, they will add it to their protection. Real-time detection. This is more of what is it that we're blocking? When did it get blocked? It allows us to see some information there. All right. A lot of information. You can get specific on who it went to. This is where if something gets through, you want to look and do your research. This is where you do your investigation.
And this is more IT guy stuff, right? This isn't so much a managing partner, legal administrator, office manager kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Your quarantine messages, your users that have been blocked. That's another thing that you can do in some of these dashboards. Again, all this stuff is admin stuff. And then you have your different policies. Microsoft has some really good preset policies that you can use, right? But then you can get very specific and you can really customize your policies. These are the different types of policies that you can set. You can set your anti-phishing policies, very customizable. So this first top here is, okay, how are we configured and how do we apply the default policies that Microsoft recommends, right?
And Microsoft actually has some pretty good documentation out there to say, and then again, this is more for your IT folks, how strict you want to be will depend on what options you choose. And they say if you want to be at just normal strict levels, set this setting to this setting to this, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. If you want to be really strict, then you want to set this setting here, here, and here. So if you go and you sign up for this and you add it to your account and you go, I have no idea what to set the settings to, for our IT folks, there's some great documentation out there from Microsoft that walks you through, the process.
Yep.
I think one of the important things is there's a failure, generally speaking, in business people that don't employ IT companies like ours, right? And we're not selling ourselves. I'm just saying that there's a failure there. They say, well, I'll buy that and then I'll be protected. No, you got to buy it and then configure it and then watch over it occasionally and monitor it and update it and change it. And it's just, you can't put it in the closet and forget about it anymore. Yeah. And so you can't just buy this. And it's really easy to set up for some defaults, but it has to be set up, not just purchased.
And sometimes the defaults, I've seen this before. Sometimes the defaults are, and this is going to sound crazy, too secure.
Yeah.
Where you go and say, well, I want to be as secure as humanly possible. So somebody without really understanding the impact goes in and turns every last stinking feature on.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you have all kinds of problems, right?
Your users start to complain, I can't get it.
And guess what happens? Well, this is a terrible product. We're not going to use it.
Right.
Yep. And I mean, going back to Jim's analogy, you can have one lock, but then you have, the bar that goes over the door, and latches it in. And, you can have, a double door
around your house,
and all these different things, right? There's so many things that you can do to, okay, no one's going to get in this door, but then, how much does it impact you on a day-to-day operational perspective? So
it all comes down to finding that right balance, and one of the things that's really great about this solution from Microsoft is it gives you a lot of options along that spectrum as to how much do you want to lock it down.
Yep.
And how much do you want to leave it open for convenience sake?
Yep. So I just to show you these policies right here, right? These two bottom ones here, the anti-spam and the anti-malware, that's what you get by default from Microsoft, right? If you have Microsoft 365, you get both of those by default. When you get ATP, they add safe links, safe attachments, and anti-phishing, and it includes all the different things that they that we talked about, from a security perspective already. But you do get these two by default from Microsoft. And these policies, again, they can be customized to however you want. You can add whitelists, as you go along, you can tweak them to protect yourself, or, loosen it up a little bit more. They're not a set and that's it policy. We're constantly, like Jim said, someone constantly has to watch it and manage it. So that sometimes we have to get a little tighter. Sometimes we have to, we see a threat and we want to block that, right? And there's different kinds of notifications that you can set up as well, so that you know what's going on.
So we're going to finish up. Is that okay, Vinny?
Yep.
I'm going to say this. A lot of people don't really think about the internet like this, but it's a high crime area. It is the Wild West. And you're walking down the street on the internet with your computer, right? Mm-hmm. And if you're not careful, you don't have something like this, you're going to get mugged, and a mugging's going to cost you a lot of money. Downtime. I mean, let's face it, it's going to cost you downtime. Oh, I can afford a little bit of downtime. All right, fine. You can afford 5 days of downtime. That's fine if that's your business. It's going to cost you IT consultants. I'm going to take your screen off here. It's going to cost you money for IT consultants to fix your problem, and that's not going to be cheap. Trust me, it's not money we want to spend. It's going to cost you money potentially in paying these bad guys that just mugged you to get you out of the problem through a ransomware or something like that. Dave, we've seen this. This is I mean, we have seen monies over $100,000 with different law firms through the years, right? And so then that's just the ransoms, Not to mention the bills of the IT guys. It is a dangerous world on the internet. Don't
forget the reputational impact as well.
And you're going to lose customers. You're going to lose clients over this. If they find out, which you're supposed to be telling someone, okay, you're supposed to report these things. Your insurance company definitely knows. It's bad. It's bad for for business, right? And so, Dave. And Vinny, you usually do this. I'm going to ask Dave because I think this is really his thing, right? This part of it. Dave, tell us, if you will, in the pillars of what we're here to do, keeping your firm competitive, keeping your staff and attorneys productive and efficient, and getting your clients calling. Which word does this fall in?
So I think this is about keeping you competitive. Okay. And I'm going to kind of couch that. Okay. When it comes to security, it frankly applies to all three pillars on some level. Okay. So first, how do you stay productive? Well, what you just talked about with downtime, with impact, with reputational damage, with money going out, all those things impact productivity. Okay. Obviously, downtime impacts productivity. Obviously, money being spent to remedy a situation is money that really could have been put to much better use to improve the firm.
Competitive.
When it comes to getting people to call you, getting in the news over a data breach or something like that is not the best way to get your clients calling. Well, it might get your clients calling, but not for the reasons you want. And it might.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, it might cause it a little bit of a problem getting new clients to call, depending on the kind of
the referrals are definitely
something like this.
So
So security has the ability to really impact all of these three pillars. For me, it's productivity, but really any of them would apply.
Yeah, I agree. Vinny, great job on this. Really good job. I really appreciate it. You know, we don't rehearse these a whole lot. We want these to be very off the cuff, and I enjoy the off the cuff. I hate scripted stuff. You know, if I have to practice a speech, yeah, there's times for it, but not during this. This is a very informal engagement, and Vinny, you just nailed it. You knocked it out of the park. I thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I love doing this stuff.
So, all right. Next week, Dave, we're on marketing next week, right? Yeah, it's me. Yeah. So what am I talking about next week? I think we've got trends, marketing trends, law firm marketing trends for 2021. Is that right?
Anybody got the master list?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's marketing trends.
It sounds right to me.
I do know that that's scheduled. I know that that's one of the ones on tap. So it would make sense if it was next week's.
At least it is now.
Everyone. 10:30 Eastern, No Law Firm Left Behind. If you're not a member of the No Law Firm Left Behind group on LinkedIn, please go join it. The abysmal link is here. Oh my gosh, sorry, Dave, to cover you up like that. It's an abysmal link. LinkedIn, please get us friendly URLs for our groups. It would help out so much.
You know,
and of course, give me the first pick of the URL. What's that, Vinny?
Jim, you always say it's an ugly link, but it's the norm for everybody. So nobody really cares. Nobody really.
You know what? I've moved over to Linktree, so starting next week, we'll have a QR code on the on the screen, so people just take a picture of it, so it's actionable. You guys will really like that. I don't have it up right now, or I'd do it. But Linktree is an awesome platform for that. But if you got that link, great. You can pause the video if you're watching it on replay. We thank you so much, and guys, talk to you soon.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right.